Is your visa refused for just one mistake on the certificate of sponsorship? That is the work start date and work end date. It has been commonly observed that individuals who are applying for new entrant visas, they are only allowed specific time periods. For example, from the date their student visa ends, they only have a 4-year period to be on a new entrant visa. From the point they get the graduate route visa, that's how the 4 years are counted. And one small mistake, one small error, it is leading. I've spoken to several clients. They booked the consultations. The consultation booking link is in the description. So if you want to describe your own case, so these are common examples. I've seen many applications getting rejected for this error. So I'll just get into that. It's something called as 14-day wrap-up period, and suddenly the home office position has changed, because previously even we have done many new entrant visas and this wrap-up period was not an issue. I'll explain what that is. I'll just take an example and explain it on the board. Not sure if you all can see the board, but I will explain the dates quite well. So let me take an example over here. So the main goal of this video is to help you understand how you should, what should be the work start date and work end date on your course. Whenever either you're an employer or you're an employee, you're trying to see your course and there is a mistake, that mistake can be corrected just by a sponsor note saying work end date is this instead of the previous one, whatever the correct one. uh, it has been seen that home office does give an opportunity to the employer to correct the work dates, but usually many times I've spoken to clients, they have got a rejection because the employer did not get that email. It went to their spam, authorizing officer was out of office, whatever the reasons were, and they give a short period of time, usually 10 working days. That's what they will give you to make that work dates correction on the course. So I will explain the concept and how to approach this. So let me just take an example. So let's say you are an individual, you got your graduate route visa, GR. Your graduate route visa was issued from 30th of June 2024 till 30th of June 2026. So from June 24 till June 26, 30th and 30th. This is a common one. I've seen the same dates given. So how do you calculate the work start date for your new entrant visa? You are applying any date before this. You may be applying either in 2004, 2005, 2006 on the last date of the permission, 30th June. Doesn't matter, calculations remain the same. So the way I would calculate it is your work end date. You have to go forward and then come back. So that's how you do it. You can get 4 years from the point you got your graduate route permission. In this case, 30th of June 2024 plus 4 years, which brings you to 30th of June 2028. So this is the total period you can be on a new entrant, whether it is a combination of graduate route and skilled worker. You can be 1 year on graduate route, 3 years on this, or 2 years on graduate route, 2 years on this, doesn't matter. The total, this is the period how it is counted. As soon as your graduate route is issued, your counting starts for the new entrant. Remember the 4-year count. So I've added from June 2024, I've added 4 years from the starting of your graduate route, 4 years. So your work end date is calculated on the basis of this. The last date you can be a new entrant is 30th of June 2028, working with any employer. Okay, so now I will reverse work from here. There is something called as a 14-day. It's okay. So first getting into the sponsorship area. So the last work end date, how do you calculate that? There are two fields, work start date and work end date on your certificate of sponsorship. So how do you calculate the work end date on your certificate of sponsorship? Is you minus from this example 30th of June 2028. I will reduce 14 days. 14 days is a wrap up period. So what that means is, even if I apply for whatever period, home office will top up and give me 14 days on top of that. For example, I apply, my work end date is 31st of December 2026, let's say this year, home office, and I apply and say that my work end date is 31st December. They will still give me a visa till 14th of Jan. That is on top of whatever you ask for. It is, yeah, so that's just a grace period that is given. But what home office is saying nowadays is that this has just changed, I think, in the last 4 to 6 months or so. This 14-day wrap up will also be counted out of your total 4-year block. So Yeah, that was the explanation. I'll come back to the point how you calculate it. So from June 2028, I will reduce 14 days, 30th June minus 14 days, 16th of June 2028. This can be your last work end date on the course. If you put, instead of 16 June, you put 17th of June, your application will be refused and the authorizing officer does not change it. Once Home Office writes back to them, application will be refused 101%. I have seen several applications that have been refused. People have done it themselves or whatever that is. I have seen those refusals myself. So in this case, I'll go through the dates again. My graduate route visa was issued on 30th of June 2024. I added 4 years to that. Total new entrant period. The date I arrived was 30th of June 2028. So my visa maximum can be granted skilled worker permission. Currently the name is permission. In the past it was whatever, leave to remain, etc. So now the maximum permission as a new entrant that I can have is till 30th of June 2028. However, the work end date should be 14 days less from that, which is 16th of June 2028. So when you fill up the cost information, your employer or you are the employer, if you are the HR, you are assigning the cost. When you write 16th June 2028 as the work end date, Home Office will automatically give them a visa till 30th of June, which is the 14 days they will add on. Okay, so the work end date is important. The work start date does not matter. It can be any date within the next 3 months from the date of application. It doesn't matter. So you can have, maybe you can write tomorrow, or you can take any date in the next 3 months if you're submitting the application today. So work start date is not that much of an issue. There are no errors on work start date. Possibly Home Office understands. Someone writes tomorrow's date, someone says 15 days from today, someone says 2 months from today. It really doesn't matter. But the main thing is the work end date. This is where the applications are refused. So 14-day wrap-up period. Previously, maybe 4 to 6 months before, we have done applications where we would never reduce this 14 days. So we have many successful applications where we've got it because we represent sponsors, employers, we also represent employees, everything. We manage the sponsor management system. We are level 1 users on many of the employees licenses. So we've done many applications where this 14-day wrap up was on top of that. Home Office we would put the work end date as 30th June, they would give 14 more days. But now it's very much in the recent past, maybe 4 to 6 months, and I've heard it from other lawyers. I have seen myself examples where people have these refusals, and we have been cautious. Even when we filed, they said adjust the wrap up period. So this is a very important thing. Sponsors are making this mistake. Nobody knows this wrap up period. This is in the immigration rules, skilled worker appendix. When you go, it says over there only. You won't see it anywhere else. That is a 14-day period. So that is because they are adding it. They are saying you reduce it and you put the work end date 16th of June. I will add 14 and I will give you 30th of June, which is the last date you can be a new entrant. Yeah. So I have explained in different ways. So this is quite an important one. So important pointers. The work start date doesn't matter, work end date matters, new entrant. Number one, work end date, you can either put it correctly. If you make a mistake on the course, you can change it by putting a sponsor note. There is an option when you go on the sponsor management system. Yeah, we do it for clients. If you want advice, I can advise on that. Link will be in the description for the consultations. But I will help out over here. On the left panel, there is a tab on the sponsor management system which says workers. When you click on that, there should be an option report migrant activity. Under that, that should be manage live costs. A cost on which an application is not decided, either refused or approved, that is called as a live cost, assigned but not used. Okay, so that on the live cost, you have the option manage live cost. You click on that, you put the cost reference number or the passport number of the applicant for whom you have assigned the cost. You go in and there is an option to put only the sponsor node. So let's say, for example, in this case, employees are making this mistake, very common one. The employer put work ended as 30th of June 2028, and now you have to amend it either after an email from Home Office or even if you after you watch this video. So you just go in there, sponsor note, there is an open field, open text field. You can just write work end date 16 June 2028. They will understand the sponsor note overrides whatever fields you filled up incorrectly. So that's how you write. You don't have to explain anything. They understand it. So you just write work end date 16 June 2028. the sponsor note will be taken, not the thing that is written on the course. Okay, so because the fields are locked after it is assigned. So very, very important point. And yes, this is the only thing I wanted to address in this common mistake. Yeah, be careful on this. 14-day wrap up, new entrant visa for anything. If you need advice on your matter, whether you are an HR sponsor, whoever you are an employee, any parties, doesn't matter. We do advise on the matters. Link for the consultations will be down below in the description. And subscribe to the channel or follow wherever you see this. Thank you very much.